What up, what up, what up, what up? It is your favorite sports talk show here on Monday evening, and that is Dr. We E Talk Sports, where we give you all the sports news and topics and all the information to make you smarter at your water cooler at work. So we are here again. It's been 3 weeks, it's been a couple weeks. We've been vacationing, it's summertime, it's hot, it's raining, in the south. I know it's raining. I don't know where all y'all are living at, but in the south, they're raining every day. When I say every day for about 30, 45 minutes. And then it comes back to the sun.
But
And
like
then
Florida.
but it's nothing nice. It's nothing nice, but it is what it is. So big show for you today. We're going to talk about the NBA Finals. I know it was over a week ago, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it. So we're going to recap the NBA Finals, reframe it a little bit for you. We're also going to be talking about what's happening in the NFL, like what's happening in the summertime as we're getting closer and closer to training camp. We got A. Ryan finally signs with the Steelers. We've got the Steelers making another trade to make another high price defense even higher priced. I don't know if it's a good thing, but it is what it is. So we're going to talk about all of those different things that are going on. We can talk about the quarterback battle in Indianapolis. We can talk about everything that's going on in the NFL as we get ready and get closer to the season. We just had the NBA draft. We got some foolishness going over there. And then finally, at the end, we've got some time. We're going to talk a little bit about the WNBA. Y'all know ratings year over year have gone up 180%. They're in bigger venues. They are getting great television ratings. And is this strictly Caitlin Clark, or is this just a growing sport that is hitting a tipping point? And those that know understand Malcolm Gladwell, very popular book called The Tipping Point. Has the WNBA tipped? And is Caitlin Clark, leading the tip, or is she just one of the people, the people that we can most associated with it tipped? So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But as you know, I'm not here by myself. I am here with my wonderful co-host, and that is Dr. Woody Brown. D. Brown, what's going on?
Nothing. Summertime.
It's summertime.
Summertime between the end of basketball season and waiting to start football season and a little baseball. I really don't watch baseball that October.
It's literally called the dog days of summer, and I understand. Like I went to one of my favorite sports bars yesterday and was talking to one of the bartenders. I was like, the only thing they had on, the Braves were playing, thankfully, because they hadn't started raining yet. And it was like, there's nothing. Like I literally did yesterday. I picked up a remote. I have one of those remotes that you can just speak into, and it pulls up the stuff on the TV that you want. So I said sports. That's all I said. Hit the button, said sports. It pulled up Formula One.
Hey, it's that time of year though.
Lacrosse.
Soccer. It was soccer. It was soccer over the weekend.
Yes, it was the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yeah. And tennis.
And Wimbledon started today. This was yesterday. So anyway, Wimbledon and the golf hadn't started yet. That's how bad it was. I was like, boy, I need to start this. This is a time where you go through shows that you want to binge watch.
Netflix.
This is the time.
Netflix. I've been watching Blindside. Blindside. That's my newest Netflix show.
All of that. Whatever shows you rewatch some shows. Like watch the first 2 seasons of Shrinking again to get prepared for season 3.
Is it coming out? When is season 3 coming out?
It's supposed to be coming out early next year, for what I
understand. Because I usually Apple TV, I get it when I want to watch a series and then I let it expire. I don't keep it long term.
That Shrinking is something special.
It is. It's a good show. When it comes out again, I'll renew my subscription.
I'm gonna have to be disciplined and like not watch each episode because I like to binge watch. I'm that way. I can't wait a week.
Now they have them come out once a week. What's the beauty of Netflix? See, you could just watch one after another.
Let me get a Saturday afternoon and watch about 3, 4, 5 in a row. You know what I'm saying? I was like, that's how I got up on Ironheart. I watched the first 3 episodes back to back to back, and then I was like, I gotta wait on the 4th one. I mean, look, it might be a couple weeks before I get back up to it. I ain't gonna lie. I can't do it every week thing. If I'm gonna do that, I'd rather watch regular TV.
But there's
Give
no
me
summertime. You know, the actors take vacations too. There's none of
yeah.
that.
Even the reruns of Special Victims Unit. Just give me a
Oh,
few
yeah,
minutes back
yeah.
to back. If
Plenty of
I've seen it
those.
before, yeah, give me that. Don't give me that once a week. Come on now, that's regular TV. That's the reason why I got Netflix. Real talk, so I can binge watch them.
Yeah.
Why you want to treat me like it's regular TV? That notwithstanding, the Oklahoma City Thunder won their first NBA championship in
In
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma.
We understand that they were the
The
Seattle
Sonics.
Supersonics.
Yeah.
Those of us that are old enough to remember Supersonics.
Yeah.
They were the Supersonics.
Gary Payton.
Won Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, all that. They won the title 1,000 years ago before Gary Payton and all them joined. But this is their first title in Oklahoma City. First of all, did you watch the series? And second of all, what were your thoughts about them winning the championship?
I watched it, but I wasn't like tuned into every play. I was cheering for OKC, so I was happy at the end. Some games were exciting. The blowout games, which game 5 wasn't too. I stopped watching that one. I thought
Game 5 and Game 6 were blowouts.
Yeah, so I didn't continue watching. So I thought it was a good series. I mean, it could have better the small market teams, and then injury to the last game. People are this what ifs, but I still think OKC would have won even if Halliburton didn't get hurt. That's my opinion.
For those, this is where y'all need to pin on the show. Write this down. This is called, for Indianapolis fans, a convenient excuse, right? Because they won Game 1 in Oklahoma City. They had been playing well. They had a dominant Game 6.
They did.
And Halliburton was cooking
until his Achilles pop.
Yes. So he was cooking. He had hit 3 threes. He had got 9 points. It was 4 minutes into the game, 4 minutes into change into the game. So if you're an Indianapolis fan, or if you were pulling for Indianapolis, you can say, man, we would have won if Halliburton didn't snap his Achilles. And there's nothing that can prove this.
Because it was the first.
And that's why it's called a convenient excuse, right? Because there's nothing that can disprove it. Because the evidence, even though it's only a piece of evidence, 4 minutes and 19 seconds, I think that's when he snapped his Achilles in the game. 4 minutes and 19 seconds, and he already had 9 points. And statistically, when he scores over 20 points, they win, right? And he was on his way. He was almost halfway there, 4 minutes and 19 seconds into the game. But he was cooking. And when he starts cooking, everybody.
But it's Game 7 in the finals. You know we don't know what
Game 7 happened. And Oklahoma City's at home.
Yeah.
So.
And Shea was hot.
And Shea started cooking too. They looked a little nervous out the gate, and when Halliburton started playing well, you never know. You can never say 100%. But
if you look at the playoffs altogether, all the injuries though, you think of Celtics, you think Cleveland, you think of the Bucks. I mean, so you can't just, say it for the finals.
Somebody else popped something. Milwaukee.
Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah. So it's like they had injuries all throughout the playoffs. So you can't be with all these what ifs, because injuries is part of sports.
And that's the part that the convenient excuse doesn't add into the equation. The convenient excuse doesn't say injuries are part of every sport. They're part of the game. You have to play through it. And yes, you have a better chance. They would have had a better chance with Halliburton on the court. Nobody's disputing.
Yeah.
Nobody's disputing that. If you dispute that, you're a silly person. Understanding all the statistics point that he's the straw that stirs the drink. But there's no guarantee that they were going to win that game if he had stayed in that game. Would they have had a better shot? Yes. Were they guaranteed to win? No. Was he playing well before he snapped his Achilles? Absolutely. But isn't that how it always goes? Jason Tatum had 40 points. He was giving him a 40 piece. He was giving him a 40 piece and he snapped his Achilles. It almost feels like that. Damian Lillard was having a great game, snapped his Achilles. Like it's almost like the sports god says, we're gonna give you a little taste of something, and then we're gonna snatch it away. And how do you deal with that, right? And I think Halliburton has handled it well. I think he handled it very well. He put out this long, lengthy statement on Instagram. I love the fact
Yeah, he
that
did.
he
He did.
got on the crutches and congratulated his teammates as they were coming off the court after that defeat. He is he has shown if there's one winner other than the NBA championship, and we'll talk about Oklahoma City because I don't want to take anything away from them. But last thing we'll say about Indianapolis, if there was one winner outside of Oklahoma City, it was Halliburton. It was Halliburton because remember earlier this season he was voted the most overrated player. Remember
Yeah.
he even joked about himself being on the Olympic team but barely playing in the Olympics. He's got a gold medal, but he barely played. So, and there were some people that said he shouldn't have been on the team. They could have had somebody else on that team. So this is what he had going into the playoffs, and the way he played against New York, the way they beat down Cleveland, and the way they showed heart to push Oklahoma City, a much a better team, to 7 games, shows that he really changed the narrative about himself, and about the Indianapolis Pacers. And
It's
so,
true because there hadn't been a game building since what 16? They said 2016.
yeah, they haven't been, I mean, the Pacers haven't been relevant. Ron Artest, Reggie Miller. Like I'm trying to figure out the last time they were really relevant. Not a playoff team, but like really relevant. This team is really good. Is now next year they're gonna struggle because they don't have Halliburton. He's gonna be
Yeah,
gone. I mean,
like them and the
what's
Celtics.
what's the recovery time on Achilles?
Usually 9 months, but athletes usually tend to be faster than the general population.
But let's just say 9 months. So that was what June is June.
Yeah.
So we're looking at what March, April.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just March. Let's say March. Let's give him an accelerated timeline, early March. Then he's got to get back to playing shape. So he's got to do some practices. So April, and we don't know where they're going to be, right? Are they going to be in playoff contention without him in March or April, or is it going to be a lost season? And that's what the Pacers have to figure out. Do they sign a stopgap point guard to fill in or can Nimhard do it for a whole season? And T.J. McCollum, who T.J. McCollum made himself some money. That white boy, man, I was calling him Opie. I was calling him Opie Cunningham. The whole finals. T.J. McCollum was balling his ass off. Okay, Opie was getting it. So Opie made himself some money too. He just looks like a dude that should be like a fifth grade teacher, right?
And he played with
and
the
he,
WNBA. I mean the NBA.
he was out there giving people buckets. I was like, Opie was getting it.
Pascal's good too.
Look, Siakam is very good. The center, he can shoot threes. You got Obi, that's super athletic that gets hot every once in a while and gives you something. Nimhard. You had I forget the other dude that put a 40 piece up in one of those games that Indianapolis won. So they've got a really good overall team. But Halliburton is the engine of that team, and we'll see if they can continue going. But switching to the champions, um, there's one or two ways, and this is my opinion. I'm asking you for your opinion on this. There's one or two ways this can go, for me, in my opinion. The Oklahoma City Thunder can set up a dynasty because I think this is the worst team. And I don't mean that in a bad way because they had a fantastic season.
Because they're young.
But they're only going to get better because they're so young, right? They're the youngest team to win the NBA Finals in like 40 years. So This is the worst version of this team. Let me say it that way. This is the worst version.
And they don't
of
have to
this
worry
team.
much about salary cap as these other teams do.
No. And they won the title. So now they've got the confidence and the experience and know that they can win. So it can either be another dynasty that we just watched the beginning of, or it could be a one and done situation. Which side are you on?
With the NBA, it's kind of hard to say to go for dynasties, but with them, I actually might go with one. But pending injuries, I think they're talking about the West. Will they win? I don't know.
Now, mind you, what's that white guy's name? The lanky dude.
Chet?
Yeah, Chet Holmgren. He missed like 50 games or something this season. He's missed a lot of games. He missed his whole first season, like most of his first season. Like he won rookie of the year basically his second year in the league because he missed the entire first season of his career. So, and he missed a lot of games this year, and they still managed to put up that record. So they have a good nucleus. They go 9 deep. They go 9-10 deep in the rotation, and SGA is a walking bucket. He did something that only like 4 other players have done.
True, yeah.
In NBA history. There's another thing for you to say at the water cooler. It's a water cooler moment.
Yeah.
MVP, scoring champion, won title,
and won the MVP.
Won MVP of it. So he got the quad, right? And deserves it. And deserves it. 32 points per game. And he's not a prolific 3-point shooter. So these are all
he get to that foul throw at free throw line.
He does. And watching him, because I didn't watch him a lot this season. Watching the finals, I watched all the games. I thought they were entertaining. I didn't have a dog in the fight, but after Indianapolis won game 1, I was like, "Oh, let me watch this." And so I watched the rest of it.
So you thought it would be a series? I was cheering for SGA. Just I don't know. It's more fun to watch a game when you're cheering for one side or the other. So
it is. I was kind of pulling for Halliburton. I wasn't pulling for the Pacers because I didn't think they deserved to be there. I thought they were going to lose to Cleveland. If I'm being really honest, I thought Cleveland had a better team, and they did based on their record.
I thought the Knicks would beat them.
I don't think
I did.
We're talking about the Knicks, but yes.
I was hoping.
Yeah, the Knicks should have beaten
just for the diehard Knicks fans that I like, but I could care less about the team.
Well, they had home court advantage, and then they probably lose two straight games at home, right? Like, how do you do that? So, I talked to Indianapolis, but SGA, mid-range and free throw line, right? That's his game. He's long. He's athletic. He plays great defense. 26 years old. Mm-hmm. You think about Holmgren, 23, 24. Who's that third guy? J-Dub.
J-Dub, yeah.
He's 23. He's 23, 24. They're all like super young and just learning, and they figured out. And they've got a coach that if you have a gun to my head right now, I could tell you the name of that coach.
I didn't know.
And they won the championship. Mm-hmm. So they have the potential, and I love their GM, the guy that put this whole team.
And they have just seem like large fans. I like OKC.
You know, in the macro sense, this is another one of those moments where you can get in a macro sense. Oklahoma City, their front office figured out how to win in the NBA before everybody else caught up. Everybody else is still trying to put together big three, big two, super team. They figured out, hey, we're gonna get because they got SGA for like a bag of magic beans when they got it from the Clippers. Remember, he was on the Clippers.
Yeah, and he was in Toronto too.
And he was at that Paul George trade, right? And there's some really great video out there about how Paul George factored in both teams getting to the finals, right? It's like because he was part of both big trades that got both of those. He was part of the trade. I think they got Halliburton to Indianapolis, and he was part of the trade that got SGA to Oklahoma City. So he's part of both of that. Teams trying to make a super team and Paul George being a piece of that. And then the teams end up in the finals where the throw-ins for those trades. So SGA and that team, they don't have any big salaries yet. So they're not in salary cap.
Yeah, they have to worry about all that, which is a big problem.
Young players that are still impressionable and coachable. Right?
And they work well together. They don't have the ego issues.
The ego,
right?
Yeah. When they won the championship, SGA, when they gave SGA the MVP, he brought Jay Will. He won this award.
Rolex watches for his whole team when he won the MVP.
So if they can keep ego and the media and the marketing and all of the folks whispering at them and the hangers on that say, you're the best on that team. You deserve more. You need to get blah, blah, blah. The whisperers that destroy teams.
Especially after you got a ring. So after you get a ring, some people go for money versus another one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's somebody on that bench that thinks because they won that ring. We see it. I mean, you see it more often in NFL, right? Where you get a guy that was on the championship team and it gets a nice free agent contract. Yeah. And they realize, or they had a good Super Bowl, right? They had a really good Super Bowl game. There was a defensive back for the Bucks. He had like 2 picks in that game, the Super Bowl that they won. And he got a big contract the next year with like Tennessee or somebody and was garbage. Because that defense was good. It wasn't just him. It was the whole defense. You were just a beneficiary of it. And I don't hate on anybody making.
Well, I don't hate anybody either. And I much respect all the people like who left our team. Go get the bag. Hopefully, some of them come back.
Y'all got, what though? I trust your front office.
So I'm just saying, out of the players, I don't have no issues with them getting the bag.
Yeah, I mean, if your players look,
the defensive players that other than the one I think that really wanted to stay.
Players, especially in the NFL, more so than the NBA.
But they don't have guaranteed contracts, so they need to get as much money as they can.
Exactly. So NFL players, I'm like, I have no problem with them. Especially after you won a championship. Your next thing is get the bag, right? Because your career could end on a free play. Your career could end in practice. Somebody rolling up on your knee is done. Get the bag. So even before you win a championship, but especially after you get the championship, now you got the ring. Get paid as long as you can, and then figure out what quality of life you want to have. Like, look at Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald got that bag. He was like, this might be my last year. I'll give me y'all one more. Aaron Donald knows he got that check. He's already got the money. He got the ring.
Why am I he got legacy too. So,
Yeah. They mentioned him with Reggie White. Like, what you talking about? Like, they're talking Aaron Donald's probably him, Reggie White, and now they're talking about the dude at Kansas City. And your boy, Jalen Carter, is starting to, and has the potential to be one of the best interior defensive linemen. I'm talking about the big boys in the middle that can go inside and take those double and triple teams and be productive. Reggie White's the best I've ever seen do it. And Aaron Donald is 1A. Because Aaron Donald was primarily inside. Reggie White would slide to the end every once in a while. And he would throw that offensive lineman. It's just, Reggie was just more demonstrative. Like, you had to watch Aaron Donald because he was inside. So you had to pay attention to it. When you see Reggie White hook a grown 300-pound man and throw him physically, that's special. And if y'all don't know who Reggie White is, I didn't talk to the younger people. Just go on YouTube, Google him. Just watch some YouTube videos of Reggie White highlights and see how he would hook and throw grown men that get paid to block and get thrown like a child. It was incredible. But Aaron Donald was just the second best defensive lineman I've seen. I've seen a lot of them. to beat those double teams that consistently with the strength, power, and quickness that he had inside, and they still couldn't block him. And then for him to be the reason why they won that Super Bowl with the sack on your boy Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow was giving it to him, and he said, "I'm about to end this game," and he shut it down. I was like, "Yeah, Aaron Donald, he's a real deal," and he did the right thing. Get your ring, get the bag, get out while you still have your health. He's 30-something years old, millions of dollars in the bank. A legacy has been established, so he can get paid for appearances the rest of his life. He won't have to work ever again in his life unless he just burns through his money, and he seems like a smart enough dude, and he's got a great family. I think he's got 3 daughters. He might want to try for the son. Go look. You got enough money. Look, I am encouraging people. When you got money, have as many kids as you can afford.
Well, you got to talk it over with the woman, but it's about the same person.
Now she has to agree to it. Like it's a two-way street, like both of them. But like, he can afford as many kids. Like, look, Matthew Stafford got like four girls.
He got a lot of kids. And what's his name? Yeah. Before he retired, was a quarterback for the with San Diego Chargers.
Oh, Cromartie. Talking about Cromartie, he got like 8 kids.
No, the quarterback. The quarterback. Back in the day for say when they were in San Diego Chargers. I'm blanking on his name. I'm sitting here looking at his face.
Oh, talking about Phillip Rivers?
He like 7 kids.
He got a lot of kids too, right? Yeah, I think they Catholic. They don't believe him, bro. He got like 6 of them. I think. Oh yeah. So look, I don't begrudge anybody. You got the money, you got the time, have as many kids as you want. It's people that don't spend time and just having kids. That's the problem I have. That's a whole nother show. So I don't know if it happened. I think it happened between our shows. Aaron Rodgers finally decides to, and we don't know if he's married or not. He said it, but he also said he was.
That was a whole mess.
His family said he's not married.
His family was saying he's not married, but I'm like, they don't talk to him, so what did they know?
Exactly. I don't trust the family. But he also said he was immunized to skirt around being vaccinated, right? So
maybe he might be a common law or something, but don't you have to do
I can't trust. He's wearing a ring.
Wearing a ring, so.
And there's no pictures, nothing. So like he had to have the most secretive, like no leaks, none. So it could have been an elopement. Remember, he could have left.
Could have been a private ceremony. People can get ordained like online to perform the ceremony. So
I think the challenge for me with AA running, we'll talk about him on the field, but we'll talk a little bit about off the field. Actually, is that the high-profile women that he's dated have said, these are their words, not mine. They have used the word abusive, not physically,
mental,
but mental.
I can see that. I can see
it.
I can see him being very condescending.
Yes, making people feel less than, belittling them because he thinks he's smarter than everybody, So that notwithstanding, he has signed with the Steelers, 1-year contract, little over $10 million. So this is really I want to play football contract, right?
For 1 more year, at least he claims he's going to play 1 more year.
For 1 more year. Because the guy with 4 MVPs, a Super Bowl win. They've been in 2 Super Bowls and he won 1?
He won 1, yeah. One with they actually beat the Steelers.
Yeah, so they beat the Steelers, right? So he's got 1 Super Bowl win. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. We understand all that. So to take that contract says he just wants to play football. And so, but does he, this is my question for you, does he make the Steelers more competitive or just more interesting?
I think they're more competitive, but are they good enough to actually win 2 playoff games? Because they haven't won 1. So I think he's better than.
I love the change.
I think he's better than the rookie and was it Nelson Rudolph. So I think they're better than they were last year. And Tomlin shows you he can make it to the playoffs without a quarterback, basically.
Yes.
So,
yes.
but is he better than Russell right now? I don't know.
Yes. I think Russell Wilson is washed.
But then, what do you think about the trade with Ramsey and then getting rid of
I
Fitzpatrick
think the trade was ridiculous.
and getting the tight end?
Jonnu Smith. So you get Jalen Ramsey, who
you don't really know because he's been injured.
Right, injuries, and they don't. Yeah. And as somebody that has been injured, they don't get better. They get serviceable, but they don't get better. And I know these guys. They're the epitome of athletes. I'm not even putting myself on a level. So let me just say that up front. I'm not putting myself. These are world-class athletes in the top 1% of the top 1% of anything that they do.
Special rehab and special all
exactly. They've got the top surgeons. They've got the top rehab.
And they got all this other crazy stuff that's not on the market.
That notwithstanding, it's still an injury.
It is.
And from Achilles to ACLs to, they always say they can always feel it. They overcome it and they play and they can play at a very high level. Adrian Peterson is a classic example. He after he had his knee surgery, he came back and it was like he had a knee surgery. Like Adrian Peterson was a freak of nature. But we know the exceptions and not the rules.
True, and you don't know how, even though they out there performing, you don't know what they got to do to perform on Sunday.
Exactly. Toradol is a real thing, and they'll talk about it.
Okay. Like you don't know the effect on their body.
Those anti-inflammatories, and there's a lot of conditions that athletes, particularly football players, are disproportionately impacted by, and it has to be something due to like head trauma. Like I've heard more about NFL players getting ALS. Is there a link between head trauma and ALS?
Could be.
We got to have some studies on that. We got to have some studies on. There's a lot of things that we don't talk about. We know about all the head trauma and the brain injuries and all that stuff. It's a true story. It was years ago, but I was in Miami. I was South Beach partying, having a great time. We had a club. We went into Junior Seau. Right? Fantastic individual. Just everything people talk about Junior Seau is real, right? He didn't know us from Adam. We just ran up on him to Junior. He was like, hey, and we started kicking it. Like we were having a great time. Just randomly on South Beach. I was like, so after we got done partying with Junior Seau, I think we took a couple shots, had some drinks, talked it up, talked about his career. Boom, we moved on. Man, Junior Seau, he's a great dude. Fast forward 2 or 3 years later.
And they killed him too.
Yeah. And you go, what was he dealing with outside of those moments where, so you don't know. And to your point, you don't know what these athletes are doing to get on the field and perform at that level and what compromises they're making. Jason Kelsey talked about it a little bit when he retired. He was like, he had no desire to get back out there.
Yeah. He missed the team, but not the actual,
Yeah. Even here, my man Brandon's had multiple knee and hip surgeries after his career, just so he can function.
Why do I say that? And if you watch these commentators, the NFL, especially because of what position they play, look at their hands.
Yes.
Something.
Booger McFarland.
Look at their hands.
Booger McFarland's hands
I'm just like,
are distorted.
Yeah.
He played on the defensive line. I had the doctor that did my ACL surgery told me, he said, there's a higher likelihood that you're going to get arthritis in this knee. Even after rehab and repair and
That's true.
all that stuff, he said there's a higher probability that you're going to get arthritis in his knee as a result. And he was very proud. I mean, we did at that time, we did the cutting edge surgery. We got a cadaver graft and we did all that stuff. So I don't have any scars, but I still feel it.
Not the same. Yeah.
I still feel it.
Yeah.
So, but A.A. Ron
They
is
wrong.
now with the Steelers.
Mhm.
They traded. Here's my problem with the Steelers in the trade right
With
now.
Ramsey and Fitzpatrick.
Ramsey and Fitzpatrick. The Steelers already had the highest paid defense in the NFL.
They're about to be higher because TJ about to get paid.
Not the best,
Mhm.
but the highest paid before TJ gets paid. They added $7.5 more million by bringing on Jalen Ramsey and letting go Mika Fitzpatrick and trading Mika Fitzpatrick. Yes, Mika probably had a contract coming up, but Mika was better than Jalen.
Yeah.
Is, in my opinion, better than Jalen. So you lose production and raise your salary. That's not the way. It should be the opposite. You should lower your salary and increase production by signing a younger player.
That's what Howie does.
That is trying to get that bag, right? So he's going to play harder. But you got a guy in Jalen Ramsey who is more of a higher gun that's hard to control.
Yeah, he is a little bit. I like him, but he is a little bit. If he don't get his way, sometimes he kind of.
Yes. And Mike Tomlin is notoriously a player's coach, and so he might allow that kind of stuff to happen. But and when Jalen is allowed to do what he wants to do, he's not as productive. He was productive with the Rams. Why? Because Sean don't play that. Sean Payton don't play that. He's nice to the media. Sean Payton is one of my favorite coaches because he does it the way I would do it, and maybe that's why I like it. But I see how I would do it. Be innovative, trust your players, run a tight ship, and don't say shit to the media. Be as nice to the media as possible so they talk about you nice. But I'm sure inside the wall, I'm sure he's an asshole.
You think so?
Yeah. He probably shoots it to him straight. He wants what he wants. He's super ambitious. He's a type A. He is Sean Payton, but Sean Payton does not play nice with the media. That's
No,
how
he doesn't. He doesn't.
He don't play nice with the media. He basically tells the media go F themselves, right? Because they don't understand what he does.
I like Bill.
Yeah.
You used to be.
But my boy in LA, he's younger. He's like, he's cool. He's got the model wife and the cool haircut. He got his job at 38. He's great. But I'm sure behind those closed doors, to his coaching staff and to his players, they know who runs that. They know who runs that team, and it's him. And it's either my way or the highway. But they're smart in that they're also Les Snead, the GM. They do a good job of picking players that fit their system that would be okay with that. And they get.
I think that's the problem with the Steelers. They don't pick the right people. Since Ben, but they got defense, but I mean they need offense. I don't know what good this tight end is. They need offense. Because the Steelers defense have been good for years. The problem is the offense hasn't been good since before Ben left actually.
What round was Ben? Was Ben a first round pick or was he a later round pick?
I think, don't quote me, but I think he was second. But Big Ben. Let me see.
Let's see. I'm googling it now. First round.
He was first round.
11th.
No.
11th overall pick. So they saw something in him and they got it right. And that was the last time they got a quarterback right.
But see, the problem is the fact that they're too good to get a high pick.
That's the problem.
But not good enough to actually win in the playoffs.
They're in what we would describe as NFL purgatory. You're not in heaven, but you're not in hell. Because if you're in hell, you get a high draft pick. If you're in hell,
do you think Rodgers is going to take them to heaven, or they'll be closer to hell?
Rodgers is going to keep them in purgatory. They're going to win 9-10 games this year because of Tomlin and Rodgers, and they're going to overpay for T.J. Watt, and T.J. Watt deserves the money.
He does.
So I'm not hating on him.
He does.
But that defense does not need to get more expensive because the offense is garbage. The offensive line, terrible. Who is their running back?
They got rid of Najee.
Najee's now with the
They
Chargers.
know Najee was getting a little older too, but they got rid of him.
So I think Najee's production was down. I like Najee.
But I think some of it has to do with the O-line too.
I think the offensive line.
So like for a running back to be productive, you need to have a good offensive line.
Because Najee was good coming out. He was out of Alabama.
So
Najee's a good back. He's He's not a home run hitter. He's not Saquon. I'm not putting him on Saquon level, but Najee Harris.
Who is on Saquon's level though? At the end of the day,
nobody. Nobody. Not even Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry can't catch a cold in the wintertime. Okay.
What I like.
Derrick Henry is a. I love him.
But he's a different type of running back, though.
He's a straight line running back.
Yeah.
I need to have this. Now, if you give him a crease, he's gonna hit his head on the goalpost.
Yeah.
But he ain't got no crease. It's not like Saquon is he's a Barry Sanders kind of back. Yeah. Like he can make something out of nothing, and then if you give him something, he's gonna hit his head on the goalpost. And he can catch, and he's a better receiver than
Yeah.
So Saquon is a 1-of-1. There's probably some guys like Saquon's like maybe like Thurman Thomas out of Buffalo back in the day. He's that. He's like a guy that can do everything. Catch the ball, run it. He can be an every down back. He can do everything for you. That's how I see Saquon. And then Saquon does it at a higher level than Thurman did. But, you could debate that if Thurman played today, he'd probably be just as good. But Saquon is he's different. And then he said, did you hear the quote where he said the Commanders nor the Cowboys even showed interest in him?
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised with Jerry.
Seriously?
Not surprised. They didn't want to pay Henry when he was, and Henry wanted to go to Texas.
And that's why they lose.
Just saying, they didn't want Derrick Henry.
That's why they lose. That right there. There's no reason. Saquon was the only reason why the Giants were relevant. The only reason.
But they didn't want to pay him.
Would you rather bring back Ezekiel Elliott than sign Saquon Barkley?
Because he's cheaper. Past his prime, though. Because Elliott was decent back in the day. Past his prime.
When the offensive line was good, Elliott was good.
But he was younger. Running backs, they get worn out.
I can't tell. Saquon's giving it to him.
I'm talking about Elliott now. He's a different type of back. I'm talking about Elliott.
Frank Gore ran his he was 37 years old, 38 years old. Tell me about those.
But look at Henry is not young, and he's still
exactly re-signed with the team.
So
so yes, and we're talking about outliers, but I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but I mean, the Cowboys could have had him though. See all that anyway.
Yeah. So.
And probably would have got a discount because he got his family's there.
Here's what I would have done if I was a Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is going to be contrary to
you would have
tanked the Steeler way. I wouldn't have tanked, but I would have gone with Mason Rudolph, and that was like a kind of a half tank.
Well,
right?
Well,
let's see what Mason can do. Give him a shot. We know that Mason has limitations. We've seen them.
They
We've
should
seen
have
this before.
They should have drafted Shador.
They should have drafted Shador. But here's the problem with drafting Shador. You're going to have to put him on the field because he only had Mason Rudolph in front of him, and the fan base and all of the.
Well, I think Mason would have started for a couple of games.
But he would have been out for a couple of games. I think they should have played Mason Rudolph, go with Skylar Thompson and whoever they had in their quarterback room, and get into the Arch Manning sweepstakes. Because as it is, they're going to be drafting in the teens again from 12 to 18.
Yeah, no quarterback.
To 20.
All the good quarterbacks are going to be gone.
All the good quarterbacks.
Unless some scandalous something happens, people drop.
They haven't proven since 2004 that they can draft a good quarterback. So I can't. That's 21 years ago.
So do they need a new GM, or is it Tomlin, or both?
I think it's a little bit of both, and I think it goes all the way to the top, to the Rooney family. Their brand now is consistency, patience.
Which I don't have anything. I don't have like these firing coaches every 2 years. I have issues with, especially in basketball.
They love the fact that they've only had four head coaches in their franchise history. They love that. They love the fact that Tomlin has never had a losing season. They love those stats so much that it doesn't matter that they're not competitive.
See, I guess the problem with two of the oldest winning organizations in the NFL is they don't want to change the way they do things. Cowboys.
It's about preserving those, and people said that, and they've got a quarterback now that is the same way. He's about preserving his quarterback rating more so than winning games. And sometimes you've got to put the ball at risk if you're trying to win games.
Yeah, you do. You can't be.
If you're trying to preserve that quarterback rating, I'm going to dump this down to the back and just punt. Versus throw that ball in harm's way so I get an interception and that's going to lower my quarterback rating. You see what I'm saying? It's little subtle things that people have been complaining about Aaron Rodgers, which is why Mike McCarthy got fired and they brought in Matt LaFleur. And Matt LaFleur was like, yeah, I'm going to run a more run-heavy offense and run motion, and that's why they butted heads.
Yeah, and then they pissed him off when they drafted Love.
But it's funny, and they did the same thing to Brett Favre with him. He should have understood that.
It's business. They need a succession plan. That's what's wrong with the Steelers right now.
This is what this organization does because they're rarely going to sign a free agent, right? Who wants to go live in Green Bay, Wisconsin? Especially in the wintertime. No. Chicago, I'll deal with the winter because it's Chicago. Detroit,
that's true. Unless you like living out in the middle of nowhere. Some people do.
Some
people do. Favre probably liked it. It's close, like Mississippi, but colder.
I think the biggest free agent signing in the history was Reggie White when he left Philadelphia to go to Green Bay. And Reggie White said God put that on his heart. And I'm not going to dispute that because I don't dispute that. My mama told me that a long time ago. Okay? Reggie White said God put that on his heart to leave Philadelphia and go to Green Bay. Okay. That's been their biggest free agent signing in the history of the organization. Everybody else has been homegrown.
I like Green Bay. I mean,
I do too.
I like the atmosphere. True football fans, all true football fans need to go to a game there, preferably in September. But it's an amazing stadium. It's the whole.
Here's my question: Do you think Green Bay has a legitimate shot at winning a title this year?
This year, no.
Yeah.
This year, no.
Why?
They're not good enough. Love, and then they're not good enough. The division hard. They're not going to win the NFC. At the end of the day,
I agree with you, and I think
it has something to do with free agents.
I think his love is the X factor, right? I think they've got enough players on their team. I thought they were better not last year, but the year before when they beat down Dallas and then gave San Francisco and had San Francisco on the ropes. The year San Francisco went to the Super Bowl, they should have won that game, but Jordan Love, the experience factor just got to him. I think the moment got too big for him. Last year they took a step back, so this year I'm cautiously optimistic. But
I don't
Jordan
think
Love,
they're going to win the NFC. I don't think they're going to win the division. So
I think they have as good a shot as anybody else to win that division. And I would, if I was betting, I'd put money on Green Bay. And here's why: they have the most. Well, I would say that because they have the most continuity year over year
that's true compared with the Detroit's going to have a new OC
and a new DC.
So, but I still think that,
and then
we don't know how
Minnesota's got a quarterback that's coming up in industry.
A rookie, basically.
A rookie. And then
Chicago, new coach,
head coach,
Caleb. In Chicago, I think it's a curse, honestly.
Yeah. So Green Bay is bringing back pretty much their team. They signed a couple players, let some go. So they've got the same head coach, GM.
And the coach is good. I like LaFleur.
So it's really, when you have that, it's really on quarterback play. Can Jordan Love stop making bad mistakes in the moments? Like he threw too many pick sixes that were unnecessary last year.
Not true. See, but some of that is young, and then you know, it's flip it on. Do you take a risk? Do you play it too safe?
He started for his fourth year.
But do you take a risk or do you play it safe? You know, there are people who take too many risks, like I think Brett or Jameis.
And you see where Jameis is.
People take risks and it's people play it too conservative.
There's a happy medium, right?
Yeah, but it's like the Steelers when they had Wilson. He threw the deep balls. Fields, he took off running. He played it safe. Wilson threw the deep balls, and Pickens, you know, he can catch them deep balls, which is what they needed. So, you know, which way is the best?
Here's where Wilson gets exposed, and he got exposed last year with the Steelers is because he's so short, he doesn't throw those slants. He doesn't throw those over the middle routes. He throws a great deep ball, but because he's so short, he has to roll out. And Sean Payton realized this. He couldn't make the throws. He would not make throws that were there because of the physical limitations that he has. And so Drew Brees was better at it because he was more accurate and he threw it to a spot. Russell has to almost see the throw before he lets it go. And that was the issue. And so, like, that's why him and Sean Payton didn't get along at all. Because Sean Payton's like, I drew up the play perfectly. The receiver was there. Why did you let the ball go?
He does ad-libs.
Yes. And he holds on to the ball. And so you can hold on to the ball when you're looking for that deep shot. But when Sean Payton wants you to run the play that he called. And that's why Bo Nix is his perfect quarterback. Because Bo Nix is not athletic nor gifted enough to do something off script.
See, and Russell was more athletic, so he could do things better off script when he was with Seattle versus now.
Particularly when he was younger. Yeah, he was moving around. He could take off running.
That defense. He had the defense. And he had that running back. He had Lynch.
Yeah, beast mode behind him. Come on, man. Yeah. And this is what, and Russell Wilson has built his reputation off, and that's why the other guys on our team don't really F with him because he got a big head and he was like, we're the reason why you got a name. Like, because people love quarterbacks. But it was really that defense, Legion of Boom.
And the running back.
And the running back.
And the coach, too. I think the coach has something to do.
The coach, yeah. All of them. So when they start coming out with let Russ cook, let Russ cook. What you mean? Russ can't cook. He can't. He's good enough, but he's not. He needed a team around him. And then everybody thought it was Russell. And I was like, no. You saw what happened in the Super Bowl. You called a play for Russell, what happened?
Well, hey.
Pick.
Well, to this day, I still don't understand that. They
I
should
promise
just
you.
lynch.
If I'm Marshawn, I'm waking up in the middle of the night sometimes. Still mad about that.
Lynch beast mode. Man, that game. Woo, I remember that game like it was yesterday because I remember it was a blizzard in Chicago. I remember that game like it was yesterday. And I was out watching the Super Bowl.
There are some games that are tattooed in my brain.
That
That
I bet the number one game tattooed in your brain.
28-3. 28-3.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I
one was
remember where I was in New Orleans.
I almost went to that game.
With Saints fans cheering for the Patriots. I'm like, hey, y'all cheering for the Patriots because they hate y'all.
I got a Pee Wee, you know Pee Wee.
Yeah.
Pee Wee at the last minute got tickets to the game and was driving from Atlanta to Houston. And he was like, yo, I got a ticket. What you trying to do? And I contemplated for a minute and I was like, no, I'm going to watch it because I want to be able to yell at my own TV and watch the Falcons. Because, you know, when you're I've been to a Super Bowl before and it's like, it's chaotic and it's hard to watch the game.
But it's just a wonderful experience, though. You can watch the game afterwards. Tape it.
I bet.
If you win, watch it again.
Yeah. So
I came home and watched it again and watched the halftime show again too.
So I was with that game the year the Jaguars lost to the Titans 3 times in that one season, went 14-2, and then lost in the playoffs to the Titans. That game against the Titans is tattooed in my head, and the beast mode, the decision.
The game.
Yeah.
That game I remember. It's weird. I remember certain games where I was at the time. I remember a lot of games where I was at the Super Bowl, where I was.
I'm like, what? You're on the 1 yard line. You got the best running back in the league and the dominant offensive line.
Man.
You don't think
Marshall? I mean, that's just crazy. I just think of 1 yard thinking about this push. But anyway.
Bread and butter, man.
Well,
go with the player that got you there. They got too cute, and Belichick knew, and Malcolm Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
Malcolm Butler said that they knew in short yardage situation that they're going to run that slant, and he jumped the route.
Well, history. Tom Brady.
So I don't know. I think the Steelers.
I hope the Steelers. I mean, I hope. See, I want the Steelers to do well because you know my family are. I am a sticking Steelers fan.
I want the Steelers to do well too. I pull for the Steelers. I pull for Tomlin. I want him to do well, but I think
they better do well. The game I'm going to. I'm taking my godson to the Bears Steelers game. They better do well that game.
Yeah, Tomlin is. I love Tomlin, but I think he and the organization, when they are faced with the dilemma, instead of they go safe, and safe is he's a defensive-minded head coach, so he picks defense. So he traded for Jalen Ramsey and paying more money on an already expensive defense.
They should have stayed with Fitzpatrick.
Instead of really beating the streets and trying to get you a running back that's worth a day.
Some the offense, something. Line, something. Because Rodgers gonna get hit. I mean, he don't like getting hit. The offensive line is not great.
Offensive line is terrible.
So they need it. Well, I don't know. I just hope and then their division is rough.
He'll be better. They've got 2 good tight ends now. I like Jonnu Smith. I like the tight end they had going. So now they got 2. They've got Metcalf, who is not a high volume receiver, so I don't know why people all of a sudden think he's going to be catching 12, 13 balls a game. He's not that kind of guy. He's a sprinter. He's not a route runner. He's a sprinter. He's big. He's got a great catch radius. So he's a big, strong dude. So throw it up, he'll go get it. But he's not a guy that can. He's not. He'll be exciting. He's gonna make some big plays.
He will, but him and Rodgers do their games.
Yeah,
like
make some big plays. Will they have chemistry? You know, it looks from the video that I saw, it looks like they're developing some chemistry.
But you
And
know,
with
that's
him
a
being a
football.
veteran receiver, Rogers is probably going to lean on him more than, but and the tight ends, yeah, but there's no real running game, and I don't know if that line is appreciably better.
I don't think it
So
is.
um, once they give TJ Watt $45 million a year, whatever they're going to pay him, you know, but he's getting a little long in the tooth. I don't think TJ Watt can play 17 games at a high level anymore.
Well, yeah, he's older, but he does.
Yeah,
I agree. He does deserve the money.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm never gonna say, look, you will never hear me say a player does,
Especially
well,
TJ. TJ is they. I mean, freaking the defense. But you know,
I think never is hyperbolic because I said Russell Westbrook wasn't worth the money that they paid him. So
I love
I
Russell.
had said that.
I love Russell. But the
Okay.
NBA contracts are outrageous. But you know what? The owners
Russell
make they.
Westbrook making $55 million a year when he's only getting you 13 points a
But
game.
see,
Not
I have
acceptable.
no issues with all them NBA, even though they just like. But just think, the team makes that much money. The owners make that much money. So I have no problems with players getting that money.
I don't
There's a
have a
lot.
problem with it. In a general sense, I think there are some players like Russell and James Harden, and there's some
Oh
players.
yeah, I don't think James deserved that money. I don't like James. I like Russell.
So because of the size of the NBA contracts, yeah, they play more games. But everybody was all up in arms because LeBron opted into a $53 million deal. LeBron was the 14th highest paid player in the NBA last year.
Mm-hmm.
He was giving you 24, 8, and 6 every night. That was what his averages were. Dame Lillard was making more money than him. You know, there are players that weren't as productive making more money than him. So I don't have a problem with players, even though I do think that you can't say that I'm about winning when you're taking that much money because that limits to other players
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
can
it
find.
does.
You
But
know,
well, think about the Celtics. How much they paid Brown?
yes, I thought they overpaid for Brown, and now they're stuck with him because they can't trade him because the contract's too big. And I think Brown of the two is better, and not because I think Jason Tatum is more skilled, but I think Brown is better because he has that nasty, that dog that you need.
He doesn't
He's
know.
got
Yeah,
that.
Jason don't have that.
He's got that want to, and Jason Tatum just feels like a little kind of finesse.
Yeah. I would agree with that. That's just the game. But then they
He's
got
like
rid of.
He's like Lennon. He's like Lennon. You like Lennon, right? You wear linen, but not every day because
But
it's
see,
too much.
I like hard,
Yeah,
rough basketball players. KG is my favorite NBA player of all time.
give me some denim over some linen. I need something that's rugged. You know what I'm saying? Give me something.
So what? How you
And I
think the
like
Celtics
linen.
gonna be next year since they got rid of basically the two players that took them to the
Well, the
finals?
Celtics got to save some money because they know their season is not going to be as good without JT. Um, so they're like, why are we in this salary cap hell with all these inflated numbers when we're not going to be challenging for a championship? So they dumped some salary.
Yeah, but the
Um,
players they got rid of basically took them to the finals.
they did, and they got a ring. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad for Drew Holiday.
I love Drew
Um,
Holiday.
I love Drew Holiday as a player. He's getting a little long in the tooth, but he is
He's
a
getting older,
great.
but he plays defense. That's why I
He's
like
a
him.
great player. He understands the game and he plays it the right way. He's coachable. He's great for your organization. Love Drew Holiday. I would have him on any team that I support. Um, I love Derek White, but they want a king's ransom for Derek
What
White.
about
That's
Porzingis?
saying
Even though he been hurt, I don't know what the hell what's going
Porzingis
on.
is now here in Atlanta, and I'm like that. That's a bag of magic beans. When he's on the court, he is a unicorn. That's what his nickname was. He's a unicorn. He's a 7 foot guy that can spread the floor and shoot. But now there's other unicorns. We've seen Wemby do it at the same level, and he's taller than Porzingis. The 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 Slim Reaper been doing it his whole career. He's 35. 30. Well, how old is KD? 35 years old. Slim Reaper been 7 foot
So what you
shooting.
think about his trade to the Rockets?
I thought that was a smart trade. I think
You
Jalen.
think KD is gonna make them better,
Yes.
or better, but good enough actually to go deep in the playoffs?
Well, they got the number 2 overall seed in the Western Conference.
Go
Now
to go
you've got it
to go deep in the playoffs.
last year with a bunch of young players. Now you've got a guy that what they gave up was more the problem than it was a solution.
See, that's the problem I have with KD is he's a great basketball player, but the 2 rings he won, it was like he was an added piece to what already a team. And I know it's a young team, but KD ain't the type that's going to lead and make other people's game better. He's going
That's
to
the
play well
only
on his own, but I don't think he does well with bringing the whole team concept. And I don't.
that's my only concern about this team. Like, can Udoka, the coach, get more out of them? Because Katie is, you're right. Katie's not that dude. He's not the guy that's going to be like, come on, guys, rally the team. He's going to be the guy that's, oh, I want to make the smart basketball play. And people love him. They love to see him play. And he is a fantastic player. He's one of the best scorers of the basketball I've ever seen, ever. Um, I would put like Bird ahead of him, Jordan, of course, ahead of him, Kobe. I think he's a better scorer than LeBron. LeBron got a lot of points just because he's a bully. He's 6'9"
He
and
gets calls.
260 pounds. He just bullied the first part of his career. He just bullied folks.
Anyway.
Shaq was a fantastic scorer. He just got fat. He just never like worked on his conditioning.
He never was into, training shape.
But prime Shaq, oh my God, he get 35 a night, 40, like he was giving you a 40 piece, and he couldn't shoot free throws. Imagine if Shaq could shoot free throws. How many points he got? And Shaq did 2 things. If Shaq could hit free throws and worried about his conditioning and was in shape, he would have broken Kareem's record before LeBron. He was that good. Yeah. He was winning scoring titles. He won 3 straight MVPs of the finals.
I was a fan of when he was with Orlando Magic.
Oh, Shaq was that dude. Breaking backboards. Just
yes.
Disrespecting
you see that 30 for 30 with him and Penny is actually pretty good.
Yeah. Shaq was, but he had too many interests. He was making movies and music.
Yeah, that whole trade with the Lakers and how that went down.
Yeah.
What they talked about in the 30-30. What the Magic would have been if he didn't leave.
Yeah, because I think
him and Penny kind of got bumped heads a little bit.
Penny didn't have the personality to
and then
be
he got
the
hurt
leader
too.
of the team. Yes. But he didn't have the personality to be the leader of the team. He was a more quiet country guy. Shaq was the dude that ran that team, and they should have leaned into that, right? I think they were trying to send a message.
They didn't play well to the ego of their players. I mean,
no, they didn't handle that right.
Basically,
that team. But that's another one of those games that's implanted in my mind. Nick Anderson missing those 2 free throws in the finals.
Yeah,
remember that when they were playing Houston?
Yeah.
And he missed those free throws. That changed the course of that team.
Yep.
If Nick Anderson hits those free throws and they win that game and they win that series, that team stays together. But after that, they just imploded.
They were young. They should have beat the Rockets. So when they made it to the finals, though, I mean that game too.
They should have beat the Rockets, but Dream worked Shaq like a shift. Like he worked him. Like Dream put that old man. You're not quite ready for this yet. That Dream Shake was shaking the hell out of Shaq. Shaq couldn't do anything. Shaq was more athletic. He was bigger, stronger, faster. But Dream would just throw that ball out there, bring it back. He was like that old man to show up on the court on the blacktop with some dress shoes on or some old Chuck Taylors. And you're like, what's this old man out here playing with us? And he gives you that work. That was Dream in that series. Shaq couldn't do nothing with him. And then they got confidence. And when they got confidence, Kenny Smith, who else was on that team? Clyde wasn't on that team. Was Clyde on that team? No, Clyde was still in. But yeah, they had Sam Cassell was on that team. I remember Sam Cassell was the point guard on that team. They had a good solid team, but Dream worked Shaq and they couldn't do anything with him. So But Shaq got to LA, and the rest is history. You know,
I wish you could say what
MVPs.
no. That I love Penny and Shaq. That was my team.
You know what?
Coach,
You know where Kobe lost me was that year of the finals with Detroit when they were trying to go for the 4-peat,
mhm.
and Kobe. It felt like Kobe was deliberately trying to win the MVP versus win the championship
Well,
because
see, I
he took shots and he wasn't passing it in the Shaq like they were, and Detroit was like, "Oh, we're gonna settle for Kobe jumpers because they know if you dump it down Shaq, because Shaq, they had nobody that can answer for Shaq."
let's see. That's why. See, I fell out with Shaq. Like we had a personal relationship when he went to LA, but then when he left, and went back to Miami, we made up. And I was a Shaq fan again. And I was never a Kobe fan until he actually retired.
And
I
Shaq
was
was
a
past his
hater of the
prime.
Lakers.
Shaq was past his prime when he got to Miami, but Dwayne Wade was in his prime, and that was a great 1 year. Shaq had enough to help them, and he was at. And that I'm hoping he didn't have to do too much. He just knew what it takes to win a championship. But he was a lead
I'm sure
dog
he was a good
of
leader
every
in the. He was a leader. See, I don't think
and
KD
that's
wants
where
the
the problem
ball. KD is not a great leader. I don't think.
KD at this age is better than Shaq was at 35. I don't think Shaq would even done at 35.
I'm just talking about the leader part. I'm not
But
playing. Yes, KD. Yeah,
never was a leader like Shaq. Never. And so that's what I'm worried about with Houston. They're signing their pieces. The head coach is going to have to be the leader. Um, we'll see. But I think they're a better team today than they were going into the playoffs last year. I think so. Um, and but we'll see. You're right. They're going to need a leader. Like
and then
every
when you get
team.
to them, second round, third round, even though basketball is about players, I mean, you gotta have a team to win. You need all of the pieces working together.
But it's not AAU. Like
Oh, I get that. I don't.
you need a clear lead dog. Every team, Joker, you can name every lead dog on a team. If
But
they
see,
don't have a lead
Joker is a
dog,
leader. He gonna curse them. He gonna
yeah.
like when they fired the coach. He was coaching the team on the side.
Yes, he was.
KD ain't gonna be doing it.
No, he not. He not. He can be. Hey, I scored 25. What you want?
Just saying,
I scored 30.
what y'all gonna do? I'm just saying. I don't think. I mean, I don't know if KD gonna get another ring unless he goes to a team that's already established.
No,
They're gonna have to give up too many pieces. So I mean, I don't.
and some of the talk has been if KD doesn't bring a championship to Houston, his legacy is going to take a hit because he only won the two on Steph Curry's team. On a team that broke the record the year before, he got there, right? So they were already good when he got there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And they lost that remarkable championship to LeBron and Kyrie when they were up 3-1, and they let Cleveland come back and win it.
And Draymond got ejected. So
Game 5, people need to let that go. That's another convenient excuse.
I'm
That
just
was
saying.
Game 5. You were already up 3-1.
I'm a fan of Draymond. I'm a Draymond. I like the dog.
He played a Game 6 and Game 7.
I like the dog players, not the finesse ones. Although I
played a Game 6 and Game 7. For those that want to say he got kicked out of Game 5, he played a Game 7. He was there in Game 7.
Just saying, I'm a Draymond fan.
At home, like
I'm just a Draymond fan. I like dogs over finesse player. I do like Curry.
Yeah. Oh, Draymond. I have no problem with Draymond. I have a problem with that excuse about him getting.
I'm just saying. He got
You were up 3-1, and you had multiple opportunities at home to win that game, to win that series, and you didn't do it. I have zero sympathy for those Warriors.
He's the heart and soul of the team, though.
Yeah,
he is. Though.
That was the apex of LeBron's career. The Cleveland, "This is for you" chant.
I was happy.
That was the apex of his career.
I know, because people hated him when he went to Miami.
Yeah, because I mean, he won the championship with the Lakers. The championship with the Lakers was in the bubble, so nobody really counts that. I mean, I count it, but it's like still the apex, the one that really meant the most.
That's when he
Because
went back to
Miami, they're
Cleveland.
like, oh, y'all put together a super team. The one that was the apex of his career was him winning in Cleveland.
And he
Going
went
back to
back to his.
Cleveland,
I give him. I think I appreciate that about him because I like LeBron when he was with Cleveland the first time. The whole when he went to Miami. Not to say I didn't like him, but I haven't really been a LeBron fan since. Not that I hate him because I like what he does, but
I do.
I never
I
cheer for his
think
teams.
I understood why he went to Miami.
But the way he did it with the whole
But nobody talks
announcement.
about how the Boys and Girls Club got $1 million.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that, but the whole thing was just too much. The whole announcement.
It's a bit silly. He shouldn't have done it, but
Yeah.
you
In
never know.
retrospect, he probably stopped it, so he thinks the same
He
thing.
probably said he shouldn't have done it. But I think the thing, what Cleveland was like a better version of the Steelers when LeBron was there the first time. He was good enough to get them into the playoffs. He
But he
was
wasn't
good
good enough
enough to
to
get them
win
into
because he
the
needed other
finals,
people. He needed other
but
people.
they were not good enough to win.
And then he
Right?
needed other people, and then he didn't have a coach a couple of times he made it
Yeah.
there.
So
I'm not mad at him. I mean, when people get
yeah,
mad when these free agents leave, it's just like you leaving for in the private sector, leaving town to go to another. It's a job. It's a job.
so,
It's an
yeah.
opportunity. So I have no issues with that at the end of the day.
So yeah, I zero. All right,
Correct.
last thing, and then we'll let you go. And I said at the top of the show, the ratings for the WNBA is up 180% year over year. We have teams that are moving to bigger arenas when Caitlin Clark comes into
True. And they
town
get
because
new expansion
tickets are sold
teams
out.
too. The 76ers
Here's
are
the
getting is getting a WNBA team. I saw that announcement today.
Yes, and I think Vegas is getting a team that they're oh Vegas already has a team. Sorry, um, Seattle I think they're getting well, no they already have a
Seattle
team.
got one,
So
but they're new.
yeah. So is this can we attribute this all to Caitlin Clark or is it just natural growth in their
I think
tipping?
she has a lot to do with it, but I don't think it's all her. I think she might be bringing some people in. I think Angel brings some people in. I think some people
So,
hate Caitlyn and they love Angel and vice versa. And I think it was on the rise before. Like I was listening to a show and they were when they used to fly coach and now they fly private.
yeah.
That was work before Caitlyn, but they attributed to just her, and it wasn't just her. It just happened when she came in. It wasn't just her because they were working on that prior to her. So I don't think it's all her, but I think she has a lot to do with it.
Now her shoe sold out in 10 minutes. When her shoe dropped, it sold out in 10 minutes.
Good
She
for her.
even sold out the jersey of her teammate when her teammate stood up for her when they had that altercation. The teammate's jersey sold out in like 15 minutes after that. So the Caitlin Clark effect is real.
But
Um, I do think, to your point, and I agree wholeheartedly with this, it would not have been as big without Angel Reese. And you cannot tell the story of Caitlin Clark and her meteoric rise in sports in general without Angel Reese because Angel Reese was her foil when they were in college. And you had that tension. You
yeah, you
had
got that like magic
one,
bird.
that magic bird effect. And yes, Angel Reese is not as good as Caitlin Clark. I'm not going to put them on the same
She's
level.
not.
Skill
She's a
wise,
different player too. Because she gets like she rebounds. She's just different. She got a different game.
yes, she does. And yeah, if you just watch them, yeah, Caitlin Clark is more skilled. But Angel Reese was the foil that Caitlin Clark needed to really get fans emotional about her success. People were excited to watch her play, but then when the Angel Reese thing happened and they had this rivalry and LSU won and she did the ring thing and all that stuff, it was a log on the fire. It
On
was an
fire.
accelerant. It was an accelerant. And so then when they got drafted in the same draft and they're like, then it just
And when they play
and
each
yeah,
other, mm,
yeah, it's been fantastic to watch. And you know, and I appreciated my man Colin. He's one of my best. He's one of my favorite commentators, and he was
Colin
basically
Cowherd.
yeah. And he said Caitlin Clark is the most recognizable player in the WNBA.
I would agree with that.
You said Paige Beckers is probably more skilled than Caitlin Clark as a overall player. And Paige Beckers will give you buckets. And you said Asia Wilson is the best player in the league.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Assessment.
I was like, oh yeah.
But I don't know much about. I don't. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because Caitlin Clark is really like Steph Curry.
Yeah, I would agree. Just shoot her.
She shoots long threes, and she's a great. She gets assists that because she draws so much attention. She gets those assists. So she's a great passer. People don't really think about her passing because she shoots those logo three-pointers. But her game is good. It's really good all around. But in terms of like when you watch a game, but nobody's watching the game for Paige Beckers to make a nice mid-range jumper.
Yeah, well, because she's a rookie. She's not as hype. I like Paige.
And because I love Paige, and because the WNBA players, for the most part, don't dunk.
They don't. Yeah.
What makes a game exciting is somebody hitting long three-pointers. That's the excitement.
I guess for a non-pure basketball fan, because if you're
right?
Pure basketball fan, like
the
women basketball, a lot of them have more skill than the guys because they have to, because they don't have the height and they can't do all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's more skilled. They run a pure game. The men are more athletic. We understand that, but in terms of just pure basketball game and skill level, all the women and the skill level overall is getting better, and that's what I appreciate. And that's where it's like the game was already on this arc of getting better because you had the Candace Parkers and all of them coming into the league. So the game was getting better already. And then Caitlin Clark and that rivalry with Angel Reese in college that bled over into the pros is that tipping point that accelerated. And the fact that, but I think this, and I'm going to say something that might be controversial. If Caitlin Clark was black, it wouldn't have been this deep, right? But because she's a white player,
I think it brings more people to the WNBA because they probably think it's black men, LGBTQ women. So the conservative white people might not tune in.
And it's Midwest, right? So we're basketball. She's playing in Indiana, the birthplace of basketball. She played basketball in Iowa. She's from the Midwest. Majority culture is getting behind her because it's a sport that's predominantly dominated by black women. And so now you've got this anomaly, and Paige Beckers for that. But Paige Beckers leans into she's got a girlfriend, so you got conservatives who are like, And then she pays respect and homage to black women because she stood up on
stepmom is a black woman.
Yeah, so Paige leans into the culture more so than Caitlin does, and not that Caitlin has to. I'm not holding her responsible for that. That's her job. Her job is to play basketball.
True. Paige is. Her Paige too, actually, but
Yeah, but Caitlin does pay respect to the ladies that came before her. She said, I didn't build this game. This game was here before I got here. I'm just trying to build upon the legacy that they brought to the game. And so she does pay her respect, whether that's lip service or not. She's saying the right thing. And so I think that it's important for me to see women's sports be successful moving forward. And so now you've got the softball league that's getting started. You've already seen there's across the professional soccer leagues.
Because professional soccer, the women are better than the men.
They are way better. So there's
yeah.
But yet you had this soccer league of men, and the women are better. Why is it?
And they were getting paid more.
And they're getting paid more, right? So you're like, why is that? Yeah. So it's important for all the young girls that are going through grade school now that are playing sports to see the trajectory of their career go beyond college. There's a potential
Yeah, they
to
won't.
go
Yeah.
beyond college and the Olympics. Like you can do this successfully for a long period of time outside of this one area. And so they are working on their skills, and to see parents really pouring into their daughters in the same way that they poured into their sons to get them, help them develop the skills, and to say it's okay because girls, back in the day, when they played sports, they were called tomboys, right? And they didn't really get a lot of respect. Um, they were either because they were super tall, so they played basketball, volleyball, and like
Volleyball, there's a lot of tall people in volleyball too, actually.
volleyball and swimming. Tennis.
Tennis,
Feminine.
special well.
But outside of that, I mean, but now you're seeing women be competitive, like WNBA, fighting, pushing, shoving, being super competitive. Some men are struggling with it, but I'm like, this is sports. Why wouldn't they be competitive?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't understand that because women are just as competitive as men, and just like Angel, she had that competitive, but then she's fly at the Met Ball. So I mean, you can be a woman and be out there playing hard too.
allow them to express the full version of themselves. That's really what it's like. Be competitive on the court and fly off the court if you want to be. Be competitive on the court and be butch off the court if that's your thing, right? Be the full expression of yourself, be the full version of yourself without having the societal shackles that are placed on you as a female and as a female athlete. And I think that, and I'm hoping that this trend continues, even in this political climate where we're trying to box women more into spaces that they work so hard to get out of. Um, I think it's important to see Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers and Asia Wilson and all of the others live their lives and be very successful in their roles. Because Asia Wilson has a shoe and it looks great. Like, so yeah, I think it's important overall for that. And I'm hoping that that trend continues. So kudos to the WNBA. I would say do follow the David Stern model. When he found Michael Jordan, let him be the face of the league. Let Caitlin Clark be the face of this league. That's what's dragging it forward. Let's continue, and then we'll learn about the other players. You know, uh, Magic and Bird and Kareem and Dr. J were all before Michael Jordan, but the casual fan knows Michael Jordan, right? And so there were a lot of Sue Birds and the Elena Deladons and the what's the young lady who just retired from that has the most points in the league history?
You're not talking Candace, are
Not Candace. Candace was Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. I mean, she was Miss Everything coming out, but the Kansas Parkers, the Lisa Leslie's, all of them,
Sue Bird.
Sue Bird, all of them were there in the league, and they were very, very popular players prior to Caitlin Clark. And Caitlin Clark is on their standing on their shoulders while they built this league and flew commercial and had $75,000 a year salaries and really struggled and had to go to
Then
Europe.
they had to go overseas.
Had to go to Europe in the off season to make
Russia.
some money. And so now Caitlin Clark can come back, them doing that is the reason why Caitlin Clark can make a full living off of playing in the WNBA.
Yeah,
So
and endorsements don't help her too.
oh yeah, she's State Farm commercials and all kinds of stuff.
I like a State Farm commercial actually.
Yes, yeah, but I love it, and hey, make your money. I'm again, make as much money as you can because you never know when the gravy train's gonna stop. So make as much as you
True.
can.
Hey, I say I'm all for women's sports.
Yeah. So I love it. So with that, y'all, we're gonna see y'all in a couple weeks. Mini camps, training camps should be underway in 2 weeks. When does it start?
2 weeks is was that the 14th?
2 weeks is like July 5th to 14th, 15th. On the calendar.
Yeah, I might. Is it the 14th? Let's see. Is it the 14th?
Two
I
weeks is the
might be
14th.
unavailable. I got to get a colonoscopy that day. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. So 2 weeks is the 14th. So if we come back on the 21st, then it definitely will be mini camps because
It is the 14th.
the Hall of Fame
I might be
game.
all right. I don't know if I'm gonna be done by then. So
The Hall of Fame game is in what? August. It's early
this should
August.
August. This is around my birthday. So
Yeah.
probably the
So
weekend of the ninth.
they got to get camps underway. So we're gonna see, and then preseason, 3 games in the preseason, and then we'll be underway, and then we'll really have something. We may have to turn up our cadence when the NFL season starts to keep up with everything that's going on. But yeah, I'm excited about this, and we just got to get through these dog days of summer. I don't think anybody's watching baseball.
Not really. Not really. Unless you actually go to a park. That's the only time I really watch baseball. This time of year. Go to a game.
It's background noise. This is binge watching season. So
I know, because even when I watch my sports shows, I'm like, what is there to talk about today? But then they had the trade today. I was like, okay, it's a little something.
I'm listening to music. I'm like literally, I'm watching comedy specials. I'm like doing that. I'm like, the mini camps cannot get here fast enough.
I know everybody, all these commentators on vacation.
And they got a good team on Hard Knocks.
I hadn't watched Hard Knocks.
So I'm gonna watch Hard Knocks because it's not a good team per se, but it's like interesting team.
Who's on Hard Knocks this year? It's on HBO, which I don't have.
The NFC East.
Oh, okay.
So they're gonna rotate. They're gonna feature primarily the Giants, but
which is probably if Jameis is on it, I'm sure it's interesting.
Yeah,
because when he retires and he gets into commentating, he's gonna be like much watch TV. Because he's hilarious.
So Bills is to be featured on Hard Knocks Training Camp Edition. Okay. So the Bills are going to be on the Training Camp Edition of Hard Knocks, and Hard Knocks in season is going to feature the NFC East. So it's the Bills preseason, the NFC
East
in season.
My team.
Yes. So we're going to get
the Redskins, the Giants, and the Cowboys.
Even though Saquon seems to be a Trump supporter, but we'll get that.
I don't think he's a Trump supporter. I just think he played golf with him. I don't really think he's actually a supporter.
I wouldn't play golf with him.
I wouldn't either, but I don't think he actually supports Trump, though.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't know who he voted for. So.
Yeah, he was happy to go to the White House, and some of the players did. Jalen.
I'm just saying, but I still don't think he's a Trump supporter. He ain't he just doesn't play golf.
No, he wasn't the only one there. I think he was the biggest name at the White House, but
well, I don't even remember who went, but I know Jalen didn't go, but I don't remember who else went. Yeah, but he wasn't the only player.
No, I mean he wasn't, because there was a lot of players on that thing, but I think he was the biggest name, and then the fact that he played golf.
The golf thing, I think, was more.
Yeah,
than the fact
that's what people were like. Wait, what? Like, you can play golf with anybody. You chose to play golf.
I'm talking about the story. The golf thing was a bigger thing than him actually going to the White House, because he went to the White House. He went to the White House.
Yeah. It just, when you rush for 2,000 yards and you have the signature play of the year, and anything you do gets magnified, and so playing, like, if he's not a supporter, he knew that he should have known.
He didn't realize it, but he might be. Some people are unaware. Some celebrities, unfortunately,
he just unaware. But I'm like, that's a bubble. I'm like, that's a real bubble.
I'm just saying, some celebrities are unaware. Outside of their bubble.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that I know that knew him prior to all of this stuff that are like, yeah, were like he was kind of corny or whatever, but like they just knew him. They're like, oh, he wasn't that bad of a dude. And now, with all the controversy as his presidency, they're having a hard time trying to reconcile it because, like, hey, he wasn't that bad a dude. Like he was kind of squirrely, but nothing was bad. They didn't see that. They didn't see all of this that's coming out now. So they're like, it's so they're like, yeah. So they get seen with them, and people, oh yeah, Trump supporting. Like they get beat down, and they're like, I knew him before he was president. He wasn't that bad of a dude. So I think in certain circles, like um, because of Will, I just say because of Will Packer,
Mm-hmm.
I have met a number of celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they're and I would say that some of them are exactly how you expect them to be, and some of them are way different than you would
Oh yeah,
expect
yeah,
them to be.
yeah. Some people you would be surprised how they, because
Yes, and
especially
so
you actors, you think they're like their cat, depends on what characters they play, but they could be totally opposite.
completely opposite. And so you're like, wow, that was, mm. And so, and some of them I would ride for because of how cool they were. And some of them I'm like, I don't really mess with them. So if somebody was vibing with Trump before he got into politics, it would be like, yeah, and now he's president or 2 term, and you're like, your first impression is the one that's lingering. You're like if I had, I know guys that I knew in college that was like chill, and now they're in politics and they're kind of squirrely. You're like, you weren't like that in school, but
But
politics.
sometimes I think money and power brings out
Yeah,
who a
yeah,
person really is. You might have not saw it before.
right. And so I'm like, okay, so
I think it just makes whatever's inside, it brings that out. So that's my impression.
yeah. Even though I'm not gonna say who made this quote, but he said that money is a personality enhancer.
I agree. Power, status too.
Yeah. So whatever's in you, when you get money or power or
Mhm.
status, it's going to enhance whatever you got. So if you're a good person, you're going to be a great person.
Mhm.
If you're a bad person, you're going to be a terrible person.
Yeah,
It doesn't change you. It just enhances who
yeah.
you are.
We look at our current president,
Yeah,
for example.
it's an enhancer. So it's been enhanced. So it is what it is. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all in a couple weeks. Maybe on colonoscopy day, maybe not. We'll see how that goes. Until then,
We'll depend on how the anesthesia is used afterwards.
it's not really that bad. My wife had her, so she was like, you know, and to make somebody drive you to do all that stuff, you're like, I understand it's liability situation, but like she was.
That's what happened before. I could have swear I called an Uber home, but they said I can't. But I'm like, I swear I did, 'cause I don't
Nah,
remember being that bad. Other than
nah,
the prep, the
it
prep,
was the prep.
the prep was the
The
worst
prep,
part. The actual procedure, I'm like,
yeah,
go to
she was
sleep,
done
wake
in an
up. Well,
hour.
it's time to go.
The prep was what scared me. Wasn't the procedure? It was the prep. I'm like, woo,
Yeah, the prep. And
drinking extra.
this guy does extra stuff. They got to do a two day liquid diet
Okay, they really do. Yeah,
during and like Saturday and Sunday. I will be at the Delta convention, so it's gonna be interesting. But I don't want to reschedule because it'll be 9 months before I get another one.
yeah.
But
So
it's Monday after our convention, so it'll be interesting that I have my
is it any liquid or just?
clear liquid for 2 days. Then I got to do the extra prep on the Sunday. I'll be home Sunday.
I was like, because vodka's clear.
Oh goodness, see. Me not eating and liquid diet. I don't drink that much anyway. I would be really out of it.
So it's gin and tequila.
Dehydrated.
I'm just saying,
Yeah. But yeah.
you might need to get some clarifying questions in with the doctor. That's the only thing I'm saying. Some
No,
clarifying
I'll be
questions.
I'll be like, no, I don't handle liquor well. I'm a lightweight.
I'm like, doc, I got some
Lightweight,
vodka.
and I can't eat solid food.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll be messed up.
yeah. She had to drink that that liquid that they give to pregnant women, whatever. And so she had to drink that like in a 24-hour period, and it just clears you out.
Yeah. I got to do that
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah. So that was the hardest part. I was like, I don't know if I want.
Yeah, but it's better than what it used to be. Well, because when I was a resident, we drank our little instructor made us drink it so we'll know what our patients are going through, just to taste it.
Right.
And it's worse than now. It's better than what it used to be.
Yeah. She said the flavor was better even when we had our first child, but she was like, it was just a lot. And the physical reaction to it is really what stuff. Like you don't realize how much you still have in you.
Yeah, you got a lot of bowels.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of cleaning. That's why I don't understand why people eat chitlins. But it's another story.
That part.
Anyway.
And I won't. So.
Yeah, neither.
Well, I'll let you.